Excellencies, honorable ministers, members of the diplomatic corps, stock exchange representatives from all across the continent and the world, distinguished guests, all protocol observed, good morning.
I'd like to invite on stage the CEO of the Rwanda Stock Exchange, and who is also our host today, who is the president of the Association of Stock Exchanges of Eastern Africa, Mr. Celestin Rwabukumba.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ministers, our speakers, delegates from across the globe, the ASEA fraternity, good morning. It's my great honor to welcome you to Kigali, our vibrant city, for the 28th annual conference of the African Securities Exchanges Association. On behalf of Rwanda Stock Exchange, I extend a warm and sincere murakoze cyane to you for joining us for this important gathering under the theme, Adapting to Global Market Shifts, Strategies for Resilience and Growth. Our theme for this year's conference reflects the continent's wish, positioning African exchanges not just for surviving, but to thrive. When I look around this room, I see more than titles and institutions. I see people who believe in something bigger than quarterly reports and market indices. I see leaders who understand that what we are building here is not just about finance. It's about the future of our children. It's about the future of our continent. We owe special gratitude to the Rwanda Stock Exchange and our Capital Markets Authority, our government in particular, our gracious host, whose dedication to building sustainable capital markets and fostering investor confidence has been a driving force in bringing this event to fruition. As we embark on this conference ahead, let us approach each discussion with open minds and a shared commitment to harnessing innovation to transform our markets. By uniting our strength, we can advance African capital markets, inspire new opportunities, and drive economic growth that benefits all our nations. I'm confident that the ideas we share here will translate into meaningful actions that shape the future of African exchanges. Thank you once again to the government of Rwanda, our sponsors, the Rwanda Stock Exchange, organizing teams, and all of you who have come together to make this conference a success. May the days ahead be filled with insightful discussions, lasting partnerships, and progress for Africa's markets. I thank you for your attention.
So ladies and gentlemen, without much further ado, I'd like to invite on stage the Minister for Finance, Honorable Yusuf. You may take the stage. Let's appreciate him as he goes on stage.
I'm pleased to welcome you to Kigali for the 28th annual conference of the African Securities Exchanges Association. It is indeed an honor and privilege to be part of this important gathering. Rwanda is pleased to host this prestigious event at a time when we are celebrating the 15th anniversary of Rwanda Stock Exchange's commencement of operations.
Here to give this morning's lightning talk is none other than Donald Kaberuka, Dr. Donald Kaberuka.
This morning what I intend to do is not talk about the stock markets, which you know more than I. I want to answer the question you've asked me about what are the disruptions, what are the uncertainties in the world which you should be aware of. And so I want to say that, first of all, I want to commend you for this conference, because educating the general public about what you do is extremely important. I want to show something. Take a look at this chart. Not many people actually know this. Take a look at it.
And she will be inviting on stage the panelists.
But what we want to ensure of during this discussion is how can we build resilience for securities exchange in Africa so that they drive growth in their respective economy. So without any further ado, I will start with our distinguished panel here close to me.
The point is the resilience you must have, first of all, to identify what you have as a problem. And our continent has many, but they can be solved if we put our minds together and our heads together.
Africa has to look inward for its true transformation, because it's no secret to anyone that we have contrasts of plenty and deprivation living side by side for quite some time.
We've realized that Ghana is doing well because of partnerships and innovations. So working with other regulators, we've gotten the NPRA, which is our pensions regulator, to mandate pensions to invest in securities listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange.
The pension funds have to remain creative. You looked at the statistics which were shown today by the former president of AFDB. 69% of the pension assets in Africa is actually concentrated in South Africa. So this is the direction which I believe the pension funds need to go. They need to completely start thinking outside the box. For a long time, we've always thought and believed that government securities is risk-free asset.
The sooner, for us, again, our goal, we want to make money, a lot of money for our members. So if you are here, so you know, we achieved about 15% ROI last year up to June. So your money is safe and productive. Number two, so it's not cut in stone, but the idea is to say how to create the right environment. You have access to capital, but also actually availing resources, human capital. There will be a side bucket of money, $3 million, which is going to be hiring the best CEOs, the best CFOs, the best operating managers to come and run these companies, not your typical technical assistants, you know, proper.
All right, thank you so much. Another round of applause to our panelists. That was a really rich conversation, very timely.
And we've already gotten into some good solutions there, and we have much more on the way. Let's just flow straight into our next panel. So I would just like to take this moment to go ahead and introduce our moderator for this panel, Ondiro Ongaga, journalist from Bloomberg.
If Africa is to move forward, where is that money supposed to come from? And we are saying, can we look at the capital markets? Can we find alternative financing instruments for these SMEs to catapult them to the next stage of growth? That forms the basis of our conversation today.
The story is like one of every SME, one of every enterprise, hustling from starting a new project, approaching a new bank, being rejected sometimes, getting the right one that supports you with seed capital.
My colleague here just shared his story, but we have actually had so many stories in this market. As DPs, we come to support on investment readiness. And the SMEs that wish to raise capital from the capital market will always not be ready.
From our perspective in terms of regulation, because Capital Markets Authority does the regulation, we have always seen ourselves to take a two-pronged approach.
We invested something like 30 million USD in preparing SMEs to come to the market. We selected 30 SMEs in the region, and we prepared them for 3 years in terms of governance, financial information, etc., etc. But we don't get any of them coming to the market.
The international exposure started from the 16th and 14th centuries when the stock market existed. So the secret has been there. The question is, how do we convey these messages to SMEs. And truth be told, it's not only SMEs that are in need of financing, even the large corporation.
Hi, I'm Rami Dukani from AFCM. It's not rather a question but a comment, and it could be an unorthodox comment about that, because sometimes we put too much pressure on exchanges when it comes to this very topic.
Nothing more, nothing less. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our panelists.
We ask that you not forget to collect your gifts, which are standing here with our protocol just for you. We have a presentation that is going to be given by Arca Technology. So I'd like to go ahead and invite to the stage Stefano Falciani and Ilya Prokopenko.
Having been previously working as in an investment bank for about 10 years, and mainly trading rate derivatives and government bonds, and then joining technologies companies. One is a company that is now part of Ion Trading Group, and the other one is a company that is now part of Euronext.
For end-user terminals, we offer 3 options. A desktop solution, a web version that works in any window of the web browser, as well as mobile applications for iOS and Android.
And this is Ntudi Muyelo, founder of the LEFA Foundation and chairman of the Africa Trust Corporation. Let's give him a round of applause as he makes his way to stage. And thereafter, we'll have the panelists join in, and we hope to have a great session. Thank you.
In terms of technology solution, I do believe that you have looked at some of them, being AI, tokenization, digitalization. Do you think that today it is the right time for stock exchange in Africa to look at them? And do you see a potential return on investment?
Certainly the fintech solutions that we're seeing worldwide, I think, will have direct applicability to African markets. Right now, in between our markets, the currency differential and the process through which international trades are done, being that the local currency gets converted into dollar, transfer happens, and then it gets converted from dollar into the local currency again, is probably the biggest prohibition for cross-border trading. The banking system as such has not been motivated or is unable to do direct currency-to-currency conversions, and thus trading is very, very limited because of that.
The first thing is the understanding of business modeling in your environment. And as much as you simplify those, plumbing with the technology will be the simplest thing and the most economical thing to do in order to achieve the goals. So what we have seen is the pace of harmonization of regulations. I would say everyone is more or less 90% there.
So for example, today we have multiple customers, probably 85% of our customers interacting with us through mobile banking, internet banking, and sometimes for USSD for those who do not have smartphones. But when you think about access to the investment options or the securities investments that are available through our channels, those do not exist. And I know that would be the same case for a number of banks on the continent. So I think the number one priority for the banks is to make sure that we bridge that gap, but by making sure that these securities exchanges or securities investments are available on our channels.
So then to answer specifically your question about the partnership model and how I expect that to work, I expect it to work well. Reason being that we have already, in many markets, in particular in East Africa, assisted with the manifold, tenfold, 20-fold increase in retail participation to the debt market. So that works. Now, whether that is done directly through an application, whether it is done, like you were saying, through technology that is non-smartphone enabled, but SMS enabled, I mean, in the end, that's just, you're right, That's just a technology play, right? Once the regulation is there, once the willingness is there, then technologists can work together, and these are technologies which aren't, Star Trek.
Or, for example, our friend of Infotech was mentioning AI. I do agree absolutely with him. We are using AI on a small bit, our internal AI, just to, for example, help traders when they discuss about the deal and finalize the deal on the internal chat provided by the system. And so the AI help to complete correctly the form where to finalize the transaction.
Dr. Sheikh Mohammed. So I'd like to go ahead and pass the floor over to him. Dr. Sheikh Mohammed, please take the floor. It's yours.
In year 2002, I attended Komla Domla Award. Komla Domla is a Ghanaian journalist. He was given an award. He was working with the BBC. So they gave him an award. The British High Commissioner to Tanzania, he said, African story must be told by Africans.
And our next panel session will be looking at the untapped capital, looking eastwards, Islamic and sustainable finance, an opportunity for African businesses and governments to grab. This session will be moderated by Iribagiza Alice, Head of Market Development and Sustainability at the Rwanda Stock Exchange. Let's give a round of applause to Alice.
I would like to ask Mr. Paul Buisso, following the overview of the Islamic finance and sustainable finance, what are the obstacles that are preventing African businesses and the government to access traditional financing, and what do you think this alternative financing like Islamic can offer for this challenge?
Thank you. In Uganda specifically, we've seen a couple of challenges. One was on policy, but we've addressed that by ensuring that we put in place guidelines, but also listing rules. And this particular year, the government has included in the bond calendar a sukuk issuance that is planned for Q3 or Q1 next year. And it's expected to fund some large infrastructure projects where the government was not able to raise capital in the ordinary manner. And I think it will, the testament of what we've seen in Zanzibar, Tanzania, is that is an area that will grow.
Most corporates would rather just go and issue a plain vanilla bond that is void of all these issues around identifying a project, making sure that the reporting, and you have to ring-fence the funding, and you have to administer the funding based on acceptable independent reporting done outside of the whole issuance.
So we still have hours every day with no power. So we're hoping that this will then help us to fund projects that will then be able to supply to the grid. And so there's definitely a reason why we're doing this.
A lot of participants around the Gulf and in Egypt, they are interested in Islamic products. So we are encouraging Islamic product. Actually, we established a unit for Islamic product recently. And we have also a committee which is called Sharia Committee to approve any Islamic product. And that's it for Islamic products.
I think that we have to promote also a financial inclusion and the stakeholder to innovate, to put in place reforms, to be capable to canalize what we call now informal savings in the market. And I think that we can find a solution from that.
This final session, it is a fireside chat, and it's sure to be a fascinating one. So I would like to invite our two speakers right now. First, we have the CEO of the World Federation of Exchanges, Nandini Sukuma, And she will be speaking with Jespen Shonzi, who is the Regional Industry Manager at the International Finance Corporation. Please give them a warm round of applause as they make their way to the stage.
From your global vantage point at WFE, how do you see the current state of African capital markets? What stands out for you as the biggest opportunities, but also as the biggest vulnerabilities?
Thanks, Jess, and thanks also for the great work you're doing on behalf of our industry at the IFC. I think it's incredible. If you look at the progress, we started in 1969, obviously with the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, who were obviously, still the largest market in this region. And then we had Mauritius. I see Sunil there as I speak. Mauritius came into membership in 2005, as did EGX. And we heard from Dr. Azam just a few minutes ago. Subsequent to that, we had like a little bit of a pause, and then we had Casablanca, who came in a year later. And then over the last 5 to 6 years, we've just had a steady stream. So the last one, I'm going backwards now, we've had Namibia, we've had Botswana, before that we had Ghana, and Echo is here today, along with Abna, who, congratulations on being vice chair. And then, going further back even, we had Nigeria, now NGX. They were not demutualized when they came in. And I always think of the path of our industry. Nigeria came in 2014, and I look at where they are now in terms of where that market was in 2014. And that gives you, I think, a really clear sense of the development of African capital markets.